Teacher, oath.
Good morning. Thank you. Today I have the privilege to offer the Oath of Enlistment to the young men and women that are standing in front of you. But before I do that, I wanted to offer you a few things to think about as it relates to that Oath of Enlistment and these young men and women that are standing in front of you. And I wanted to briefly talk about both them and the Oath of Enlistment. The young men and women standing in front of you represent less than 1% of our current population. It's easy to lose sight of that figure in this room, a room that needs no tutorial on sacrifice, and a room that is surrounded by people in military uniform. Many naysayers would tell you that these young men and women stand in front of you today because there's a bad economy and because of other factors. What I would submit to you is that these young men and women stand here today because they believe in something larger than themselves. These young men and women are the first generation to grow up underneath the skyline of New York City without the World Trade Centers. And as a function of that, I would submit to you the economy doesn't have anything to do with why these young men and women are standing in front of you today. The oath they're about to assume is the same oath that many of us in this room have taken, some of us multiple times. And in that oath is something that touches us very deeply as Marines, in that our own sense of history, we believe it's something that we can reach out and we can touch, and it's something that affects us all. So I'm compelled to briefly explain the oath prior to administering it to these young men and women. The oath as it's written was first chartered in 1789, only 2 years after our Constitution itself was ratified, and it's remained largely unchanged since then. So what then is the relevance of that? What I would submit to you again as Marines and having a sense of history of ourselves is that in 1805, when Presley O'Bannon stormed the shores of Tripoli and Derma, the Marines on his left and the Marines on his right were men bound by this same oath. And in 1950, December, when the 1st Marine Division walked out of the chosen reservoir surrounded by divisions of Chinese communists, they were men who were first and foremost bound by this oath. So whether on the march to Baghdad or operations today in Southwest Marja in Afghanistan, we all are first and foremost men and women bound by this oath. And I'll steal a little bit from General Kelly last year, who some of you may remember told you, if we were in China today and we were speaking Mandarin Chinese, this oath would be administered, swearing allegiance to a party, the Communist Party. And if we were in France today and speaking French, this oath would be sworn, swearing allegiance to the people of France. If we were in Great Britain, speaking whatever it is that they speak in Great Britain, this oath would be swearing allegiance to a sovereign crown and a monarch. But as it were, today, their oath will be sworn to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution alone. And in that is something special. It's something that transcends all of us and is greater than anything I've already mentioned. And it transcends generations, and it's something that makes us all who we are. And the last thing I'll leave you with prior to administering the oath is that you will notice there is no time limit placed upon the oath. It does not expire at the end of enlistment, nor does it expire upon retirement. Speaking to this room specifically, I will tell you our oath has not, nor will it ever expire. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. And that I will bear true faith. And allegiance. To the same. That I will obey the orders of the President. Of the United States. And the regulations. Of the officers appointed over me. So help me God. Semper Fidelis.